Hi class, um, back for social studies, okay? The last video we talked about the Persian Wars, and we learned that the Greeks fought really hard and bravely um, against the Persian Empire who invaded Greece at that time. So we learned that in spite of the fact that the Greeks were outnumbered by the Persians, okay, um, they were able to win the war still, right? Um, Although they lose in Thermopylae, but as a whole, they were able to defend Greece from the Persians invasion. So uh, which we learned that they the Greeks used their knowledge of the land and their knowledge of the water to gain advantage against the Persians. So because of that, they were able to, you know, defend Greece, and um, the Persians uh, retreated. Okay, from there. So today we're going to be talking a different topic, but it's kind of like going back to Athens. Okay, so today we're going to uh, talk about a tour of Athens. So right after the Persian War ended, so Greece, I mean Athens entered a period of great accomplishments. Okay, um, that means that it's about like 2,500 years ago, right after the war. Athens or Greece in general enters into this golden age, okay, of Athens. Now, what is this golden age? It's like after the war, Athens entered into a period of great accomplishment in terms of arts, learning, and government. So they had been very successful, and because of that, many people from around like other city states and from other places, they came to visit Athens to see what's in Athens. Okay, especially to learn about democracy. Remember, Athens was a city state that has a democratic form of government. So everyone was curious about Athens, and Athens became very famous at that time, right? So that's where we are, and we're going to tour around Athens, class. Are you coming with me? Okay, so we're touring Athens, and I want you to imagine, okay, imagine a scene during the golden age of Athens. What do you think? What can you imagine? What do you think things that are happening in Athens during the golden age, class? I want you to imagine that, okay? What do you think are the things we're going to see there when we visit Athens? Okay, so please listen as I read and start imagining you being in Athens, okay? Like our class, okay? All right, so a ship is putting into the port of Athens. On it are several men from another city state, Greek city state. So the visitors have heard about the democratic system of government in Athens. Now they want to see it for themselves. The elected leader of Athens, Pericles, okay, I'm going to show you the name Pericles. Hold on. Okay, the elected leader of Athens at that time during the golden age was Pericles. Okay, so Pericles is waiting to greet the visitors. So, because people from other city states heard about Athens' democratic form of government, so they are very curious about it and they wanted to visit Athens and to see it themselves, okay? To see what's what is in it in democracy, okay? So that's what attracted people in coming to Athens. So at that time, Pericles was the leader of Athens. He was the elected meaning means that people voted for him, okay? People voted for Pericles to be their leader. Now Pericles stands watching on the ship as the ship draws up to the dock. Several men on the deck of the ship are looking across the water towards Athens. Soon the men gathered in front of Pericles, and then Pericles says, "Welcome to Athens." Can you see Pericles, class? Remember, we're visiting Athens. So Pericles was saying, "Welcome to Athens." Okay? Second graders. All right, this is our tip. Welcome to Athens, New Hope second graders. Okay? So, and then the men thank Pericles and look around the crowded port. I'm going to show you again Pericles. Okay? So, the men thank Pericles and look around the crowded port. Ships from all over the known world are sailing in with loads of grains and other goods the Athenians need or want. Other ships sail out carrying goods they have bought. Okay? Sailors and merchants busily load and unload ships and bargain with each other. So it's a very busy port. Like many ships are coming in and sailing out. So ships that are coming in were like unloading goods that they brought for Athenians to buy, okay? Like what Athenians needs, because not everything are in Athens, class. So some things that they don't have in Athens, they buy it from other places. So that's what's going on at the port. And some ships are sailing out, bringing the goods that they bought from Athens. Now my question is, if since we are visiting Athens, class, what kind of goods can we bring to Athens where would really love to buy it from us? What do you think? Can you think what kind of goods you would bring to Athens that that you really think Athens needed, like Athenians would love it, would need it, and would want it? Okay, what? And think about also what you will buy from Athens that you will bring to the United States. Hmm. Maybe me, I'm gonna buy pottery. Okay, they really make good like jars, glass pottery. Their pottery is really beautiful. Okay, so I would like to have one of those. What about you? Okay, now I'm sure after your sea journey, okay, this is Pericles talking. After your sea journey, you would like to bath and rest and eat. Pericles says, "You will be my guest at my home." He escorts them into the horse-drawn chariot. So, wouldn't you want a bath and food and rest? Hey, we came from the United States. That's a long travel, class, so we would need that, right? So Pericles is inviting us to his home. Let's go to his home, okay? So Pericles was like inviting the guests to his home. Anyways, now as they ride toward the city, Pericles points to the high walls on both sides of them, leading all the way to the city. So there's like high walls. He explains, "There is also a wall around the city that protects us from invasions. If anyone attacks, we will be safe behind these walls, and we will be able to use our navy to bring in food and other supplies. So he was kind of explaining as they're passing, you know, by the walls. So he was explaining that these walls protects them from invaders. Okay, so when the group arrives at Pericles' home, the visitors are surprised. The house is the house is a little larger and nicer than their own homes, but it is still much plainer than they had suspected. So Pericles is not a king, but he is the head of the city-state of Athens. Your home is simple yet beautiful, comments one of the visitors. Okay, so since Pericles is the head of state, so he has a house. It's a big house. Okay, like for example, the president in our country live in the White House. Okay, so it's kind of like that. So he has a big house, but it's plain, it's simple, so that nothing fancy about it. Okay, thank you, Pericles replies. We Athenians feel that our public buildings should be grand, but not our homes. We admire beauty and simplicity. So he's kind of explaining that buildings, like public buildings in Athens, were grand. Like it's like spatial, it's like huge and special, like grand. Okay. Um, but it's totally different with their homes. Their homes were simple, okay, because they like simplicity. Now, after the visitors have bath, eaten a simple meal, and rested, Pericles offers them a tour of the Acropolis. Okay, Acropolis, you remember Acropolis in Athens class? It's the highest point of Athens. Okay, I know you came to learn how we govern our city state, but I think you will also be interested in some of our buildings. Okay, so it's kind of offering a tour. Okay, now the men had been able to see the Acropolis from the port, but now as they get closer and closer, they can see how truly beautiful the buildings are. As they stand in front of the Parthenon, one of them exclaims, "What a magnificent building! Is this a tomb for a great Athenian leader?" So they've seen the Parthenon in Acropolis class. You remember the Parthenon? Okay, so it's Athena's temple, and one of the guests was amazed about how beautiful it was, and he he thought of like, oh, is this like a tomb of the Athenian leader? You know, it's a tomb class. It's where like you bury someone, right? So that's a tomb. So Pericles answers, "We are not like the Egyptians, where the kings dress like gods and have the grandest homes and even grander pyramids for tombs." So it was explained that they were not like the Egyptians who buried their dead kings to the pyramids. You remember pyramids class? Egyptian pyramids. Okay, so he was saying that they were not like the Egyptians. Okay, so next Pericles take his visitors through the Agora, the busy city center. Remember Agora class? Okay, so this is the next stop, Agora. Now here people buy and sell food, clothing, equipment, toys, pottery. So everything that you need, you can find it there in the Agora, right? Now, Pericles shows the visitors the Athenians' law courts and describes how Athenian jury trials work. So he tells them Athenian juries are large, sometimes as many as 501 people sit on a jury. If 251 of these people were vote guilty, the accused person is found guilty. But if only 250 vote guilty, the accused person is found innocent. So Pericles explains that many Athenians like to come to the courts and hear cases argued. I have argued a few cases in the courts myself, he remarks. In fact, Pericles had argued many cases in the courts. As a young man, he had been an excellent lawyer. So from Agora, the next around Agora, there's like a court where if you, for example, if you kill someone or if you steal something, you will be tried in this court, and there will be jury. Okay, their jury are the people that uh, tells if this person is guilty or not. Okay, in the United States we do that too in the court, but it's not 500 juries. There's like 12, or it's less than very less than 500. Okay, but in Athens they have like 501 juries to decide. Okay, so that's what it is in the Athenian court. Now, as Pericles guided his visitors around Agora, he points to a large bearded man talking with a group of young men. So they passes the parts of the Agora where there's a bearded man talking to young uh, men, and that bearded man was Socrates. You heard Socrates class? I'm sure in first grade you heard about him, right? He was a great thinker, a philosopher. So he was talking to young men um, and teaching them to be wise and good. So Pericles shows his guests the large outdoor theater. Okay, they love theater to class. Remember, they have a god. This theater, the name of the theater was it's theater of Dionysus. Okay, remember Dionysus? He was the god of wine and god of theater. So that's him. In a few days, we will have a festival. Okay, like we know that Greeks loves festival. Okay, so in a few days we will have a festival. Pericles says most Athenians will be taking the day off to join in the festival. I will take you to see some new plays by Sophocles. Okay. Sophocles was a writer. He was a Greek. He was a Greek dramatist. Okay, he was a good writer. So his Pericles was telling the visitors that I would take you to a play by Sophocles. Okay, so because Sophocles was a friend of his, okay, a friend of Pericles. Now, finally, the group enters the meeting place for the assembly. Remember assembly class? So here, the visitors can see Athenian democracy in action. Citizens talk and argue and give speeches, then they vote. The visitors watch closely and note how things are done. They tell Pericles they like what they see. They say they are interested in forming a more democratic government in their own city states. So Pericles took them to this assembly and where they watched how people um, talk and express their opinion, argue, and then vote. Okay, and then these visitors like it. Would you like it too? Okay, so the visitors like it, and they wanted this form of government to be in their city states too. So I am glad to hear that, replies Pericles. Here in Athens, we believe in our democracy. We believe that the best kind of government is one in which every person is interested not only in his own affairs but also in the affairs of the state. We are accomplishing great things. I hope that people will learn from what we are doing here today for many generations to come. So that was Pericles' hope that this democracy will not just stay in Athens, but it will spread all over the world. So that's what he wants. So, but did it happen? Of course, yeah. We in America, we like most countries, or I mean, there are countries that practices democratic form of government, including us here, right? So that's um, that's where it begins in Athens. Okay, class. So that's all for today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, for a new topic. Bye. Answer the questions, okay, class. Bye.